intellectual or chaotic. Or both, perchance. What are we doing here? Kind of romance book. Okay, now think of a book. It's just something crazy. Crazy, yeah. What's up, guys? My name is Natalie, and welcome to my Nook of Novels. In today's video, I'm going to be spinning my wheel and choosing my August TBR. So this video was originally going to have some nice crisp audio because I started trying to use my microphone that I bought a while ago. I had purchased it originally because I was trying to get into audiobook narration, and then I ended up just not really doing that because it wasn't my thing. But I still had the mic from it, and I was using it on this video, and I tested it out and everything, and it worked great. And I literally filmed this whole entire video, and then the second half just had no audio. It randomly just cut out, and then the entire second half of the video was just gone and lost. So I am having to start over. And I tried getting a new block so that I could plug the microphone into the wall instead of into my computer because I thought that was the issue, but now I can't get it to make any sound at all. So maybe one of these days these videos will have decent audio quality, but for now they're just destined to not. But I have tried my best, and hopefully one of these days I will have a functioning microphone, but today is just simply not that day. In terms of things that I want to get on my August TBR this month, so as per usual, I am just generally trying to continue with some series this month. There's 3 particular ones that I have in mind. The first one is The Infernal Devices by Cassandra Clare. This is one that I read the first book in this trilogy very recently, so it's still quite fresh in my brain, and this is one that it would be very easy to just go ahead and continue with right now so I can get through the rest of the series. The next one is a very similar story. It is Ruin by John Gwynne, the 3rd book in the Faithful and the Fallen, and it has been a few months now since I read the 2nd book in this series, but it's still been recent enough that I know what's going on enough to be able to continue with this book. And we're kind of at a now or never point where I'm just going to go ahead and have to read this as soon as possible. Otherwise, it's not going to happen, and I'm going to not have any memory of the recent plot that happened in the 2nd book. So I need to hurry up and get to this one while I still can. And this next one is 4 by Veronica Roth. This is the novella from the Divergent trilogy. This is just one that I think would work very well for the secret video that I'm working on right now. So if I could get this on the monthly TBR, then that would be very convenient for those purposes. But if I can't, then it's not truly the end of the world. The next 2 things are not series continuations. The first one is Bury Your Bones in the Midnight Soil by V.E. Schwab. This is actually a current read of mine right now. I'm on page 155, and I don't know if I'm going to finish this before August starts, but there is a chance that I could. I just don't know how high of a chance that is. I want to say today is like July 24th or something like that, so I do have enough time that it would be possible. So I'm not completely ruling that out, but if I don't, I do just want to go ahead and have this on the TBR so that I can finish the book up and have that be productive towards my TBR rather than spending the entire first half of the month finishing up the previous month's TBR. So I'm just going to go ahead and put this on there, and whatever prompt that I pick this book for, I'm also going to be choosing a 2nd book just in case I finish this one before August, but I don't know how likely that is, like I said, so we're just going to do that so we have a backup plan just in case. And then the final book is From a Buick 8 by Stephen King, and this is a book that my dad bought me specifically for my June TBR, so this is just going to be on the TBR every single month until I finally get the chance to read it, so get used to seeing this one unless I finally end up reading it this month. And I just remembered there's also another book I'm trying to get on this TBR, and that is Magnolia Parks by, I want to say Jessica Hastings is her name. I'm reading this as part of a book club. It's not like a month-long book club, it's just kind of a, when we finish one book, we move on to the next. But this book club started around May, I want to say, but I didn't get a chance to read the first 2 books just because the waitlist at the library was like, for the 2nd book, I know specifically it was 127 people long, and I don't know what it was for the first book. I just know I did not get it in time to participate in the book club, and they weren't necessarily books that I wanted to specifically go out and purchase just for that. I might end up purchasing Magnolia Parks just because it's a book I really want anyway, but for now I'm just gonna get it from the library because the waitlist is only like 3 people, so I don't think I'll have to wait extremely long for that. But that is one that I'm very, very excited about because I love a morally questionable and kind of cute, but also what are we doing here kind of romance book. But without further ado, let's go ahead and jump over to the wheel and start spinning. Okay, so I'm going to be spinning the wheel 5 times this month, and if I land on the same space twice in a row, I will have to add a book, as well as if I land on add 1 book, that will obviously also cause me to have to add another spin. And so when I previously filmed this, I already had some of the prompts picked out, obviously, so that I could replace the prompts I was using. And so because I'm having to refilm this, I decided to just hang on to those prompts that I ended up switching onto the wheel. And I also am starting a new thing where I'm basically going to be taking the prompts that I use and putting them in purgatory, because I'm tired of getting the same prompts over and over again. I feel like there's not very much variety. So basically every prompt that I use is going to go in a separate pile for, I don't know how many months, I haven't decided. I want to say like 2 months or 3, so that I can keep those separate, and then at the end of the 2 months I will shuffle them back into the stack, because I just feel like month after month we get some of the same things over and over. So just to kind of add some variety to the wheel. But without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into spin number 1. Boyfriend picks. So let me just make sure. So it is capable of landing on middle grade. I would like to test that and make sure, because if it goes to a spot that the wheel physically will not balance on and then moves back, then I feel like it's cheating if I don't at least allow it to pick that space. But because it can land on middle grade, I'm just going to leave it as the boyfriend picks space. This is the one that I was really hoping would come up. How this is going to work is my boyfriend is going to choose 3 books from my TBR for me to pick from, and I'm just going to pick one of those 3 books and put them on my TBR. Okay, so I have the 3 books that he chose for me. And so this is really a difficult choice, because so the first book that he picked is The Book Eaters by Sonia Dean. And this is a book I'm really so excited for. It sounds so interesting. This is about people who consume books in order to, I guess, gain the powers of what's within the books. I'm not really sure exactly how that works specifically. I just know people eat books, and that sounds so like cool and unique and interesting. I devoured this, but it's quoted by V.E. Schwab, and I love V.E. Schwab, so I'm really excited for this book. So it makes me really want to pick that. But he chose Ender's Game by Orson Scott Card. I know that this is a sci-fi that a lot of people really recommend, but then he also picked From a Buick 8 by Stephen King, and this is obviously one that I've been really trying to prioritize to get on my TBR, because my dad bought this for me a couple months ago. And also I am really genuinely interested in this because I do really like Stephen King's books, at least what I've read of them. Actually, I want to say I think I've only read like 1.5 of his books, but I do really like his writing, and I'm always like super invested as I'm reading them. So I really should pick this, but I also kind of really want to pick this book. But I'm gonna tell myself that if I get my priority books on the TBR, then after that I can try to get fun books. But I'm gonna try to get the priority books on there first, because I almost feel like I'm not allowed to read the fun books on my TBR until I get through the others. So I'm just gonna go ahead and put this one on the monthly TBR. So this is a little stack of prompts from where I switched them onto the wheel the first time I tried to film this. So I'm just going to pick out of here to switch the prompt out. Video project. So if this book comes up, then I will choose a book that I am going to read specifically for a video project, or at least that I'm planning to, because the video I'm working on right now, it's really hard to say specifically what I'll read for it, but if it's with the intention of it being for that, I feel like that counts. Also, I feel like I probably won't put this prompt in purgatory just because I like boyfriend picks as a prompt. I think it's really fun. So this might be the one exception, because I kind of want it to come up again. Spin number 2. Okay, so we will be doing 6 spins this month because it landed on the same space twice in a row. We have video project. So there's definitely multiple things that I could use for this prompt. So a book that would be the most distinctly for a video project would be Hunting Adeline by H.G. Carlton, because when I read this book, I am definitely 100% going to be making a spoiler vlog for it. But the thing with that is, well, there's not really anything with that. I have other books that are more of a priority for me right now than that. One of those being 4 by Veronica Roth. And again, the secret video I'm working on right now, I do feel like this is extremely conducive for. But at the same time, Ruin is probably less conducive to that. But I also think that this is more of a priority for me that would also work for that video project. And so I feel like this is the smartest choice just because this is a book out of every single book that I own, I would say right now, that I most need to read. So just for the sake of that, for the sake of my sanity, I'm gonna go ahead and pick Ruin by John Gwynne because it will work for the video project I'm working on, but it's also like really high of a priority. Switching out video project for height. So if this prompt comes up, then I will have to read a book that has a lot of hype. Spin number 3. Hype. So we'll be spinning the wheel 7 times. Also, this is completely unrelated, but one thing that I forgot to mention is I had a prompt right here that was Bookfinity recommendation, and I did not put that prompt back on the wheel just because I feel like the books that it gave me were not very conducive to my physical TBR. I think there was only one thing on there that I owned, and it was at the end of like a really long series that I didn't want to start, so it would have had to be like a book I had to get from the library, and I mean, we do this whole like quiz beforehand, and it was just like a lot to do for a single prompt. So I just decided like I don't want to do that anymore. It wasn't that fun of a prompt, so I just got rid of that one. So yeah, a hyped book. I feel like one of the most hyped books that exists at this moment that just came out is Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil by V.E. Schwab. I have been seeing this book everywhere. They literally had a gigantic table of this at Barnes & Noble when I went to get this. It was like at least 50 copies of this book sitting on this table. So many of these. And yeah, I love V.E. Schwab. I loved The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. There was an Addie LaRue reference in this book that I found already, and I'm just so obsessed. I'm so excited. This is definitely a slow burn. It's definitely, I don't want to say harder to get into because I am really enjoying it. It is really like poetic and beautiful, but it's definitely not like a quick, fast-paced plot or anything like that. It's very slow and methodical, and you have to really be in the zone to get through this book, but I have been in the zone. I've been really into it, so this book is so good so far. I'm really, really enjoying it, so very excited that I can get this on my August TBR. And as a kind of backup book for that prompt, just in case I finish Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil this month, part of me kind of wants to pick The Book Eaters by Sun Yee, but then I also don't want to make it so that I can't pick this for any other prompt for the rest of this wheel, because then if I don't end up finishing that this month, then I can't also read this in August either. So I think what I'm going to do instead is pick Hunting Adeline for this, because that is a book that I'm excited for and want to get to in the month of August, but at the same time, if I have to read it in September, that's not an issue by any means. It'll still be completely fine. That'll just work better, I think, for that. So yeah, Hunting Adeline is going as a backup, as an understudy on the August TBR. Switching out hyped, we are going to go with add 2 books. So if this comes up, then I will have to add 2 more books to the TBR. Spin number 4 out of 7. It looks like the wheel doesn't want to sit on first book that comes to mind, so because I landed on that first and then went over, I'm going to go with that prompt. So the first book that comes to mind, I don't know when to let go. I don't know when to be like, okay, now think of a book. I keep thinking of like books that I've already read. This is a scary, because I feel like I also just saw my bookshelf and I like saw a book over there, but I was like, I didn't really think about that. I just saw it. I guess the first book I thought of was 4 by Veronica Roth. And then next I would say Neon Gods by Katie Robert. And then after that, the next book I thought of was The Hunted by Charlie Hickson. This is such a stressful prompt because I feel like I don't know what the first book that comes to mind is all the time, especially again when I'm looking at books. It's like I looked at that, but I didn't really think of that until I saw it. So that was really difficult, but I have those 3 books. Okay, so we have Neon Gods by Katie Robert. This is a romance book that is a Hades and Persephone retelling, and I borrowed borrowing this from a friend right now. Next, I have 4 by Veronica Roth, which again, like I said, is the Divergent Trilogy novella, and this would be extremely convenient to get on my TBR this month for the video that I'm filming once again. And then I also have The Hunted by Charlie Hickson, which would also probably be pretty convenient for that video, and it's also productive because it is a continuation of a series. This one also is a really good choice, and I'm honestly slightly torn between these 2 books. I do really want to get back into this series and finally finish it out, but at the same time I'm closer to the end of this one, so this one feels like the smarter choice. It's also a lot shorter and I would probably get through it a lot quicker, and I do have some heftier things on this TBR already, with possibly Hunting Adeline and then Ruin and Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil. Even though I've already started that one, it is pretty thick, so I'm gonna go with 4 just because this feels like the easier choice for this TBR. Switching out, first book that comes to mind for this prompt, which is newest published. Spin number 5 out of 7. Barnes & Noble book. So a book that I got from Barnes & Noble. Okay, so this is a little bit of a more difficult prompt just because I don't really remember what I got from Barnes & Noble. I try not to buy a ton of books just because I'm not a very fast reader, so I cannot get through them really quickly, and probably most of the books that I own now have been gifts because this last Christmas my boyfriend bought me so many books for Christmas, and so that's probably 40% of my TBR now, I would say, or close to that. And then I have some other books that I've just been gifted at different points in time, and then some that I've gotten from thrift stores, the occasional one that I've gotten from Barnes & Noble here or there, so it's just really hard to narrow down specifically which ones that I did get from Barnes & Noble. Ooh, and I just saw another one too that I do remember getting from there. Okay, so I have 3 books for this. So the first one is The Book Eaters. Like I said, I've already explained, I am very, very thrilled about this book, and I do remember getting this from Barnes & Noble. The next one that I got from there is Legends and Lattes by Travis Baldree. I got this one more recently, I would say, and this is one that I'm excited for the vibes of this. I know it's a very cozy fantasy, and I'm definitely looking forward to, again, the vibes of this book. I feel like it gives very cottage kind of vibes. I also have Saint Death's Daughter by C.S. Cooney, which I don't really remember what this one is about, but I remember going into Barnes & Noble at some point and seeing this book. I was, I guess, probably drawn by how pink this book is, and then I read the description and I was like, you know what, that does sound really interesting, but I didn't really want to spend my money, so I put it back on the shelf, and then I couldn't stop thinking about this, and so then the next time I went into Barnes & Noble, I did pick this book up finally, and it's just been sitting on my shelf ever since. So this is definitely one. I don't remember what it's about specifically, but I remember it being something interesting enough that I wanted to get it, and it definitely looks very cute and whimsical. So yeah, I probably won't pick this one this month just because, again, the stack is already pretty chunky, which leaves these 2 books. And honestly, I have to say, I am just so much more excited for this book, I think, than almost everything else on my TBR. This book is just really calling my name right now, and I think I need to read this soon or I will combust. So adding The Book Eaters to my August TBR. Switching out Barnes & Noble book, we are going to go with this one, which is Lowest Alphabetical starting at Z. And this one, I kind of already know what the books are for this, and I'm a little bit nervous about it. Spin number 6 out of 7. Okay, so a book between 250 and 450 pages. Gosh, it's weird that I can just pick anything. Oh my gosh, this one's barely too long. 454, 242. Okay, guys, so I have a lot of options for this prompt, but I've narrowed it down to the 4 that I think I would enjoy the most. So the first one I have is The Midnight Library by Matt Haig. I'm not even really sure what genre this is, but it's supposed to be very intellectual, if you will. Something that really makes you think, or at least that's what I've heard about it, I'm pretty sure. I want to say it's somewhat of a sci-fi sort of thing, but I'm not 100% sure. So this one is kind of a mystery box that I could go with. But this one is 288 pages. We also have Butcher and Blackbird by Bryn Weaver, which this is more if I want something off the rails in like a very fast-paced and almost lighthearted sort of way. I don't know if lighthearted is a good word to describe this book, but it's 345 pages, and like this is just something for me that I feel like I would fly through very quickly, in the sense that a Colleen Hoover thriller kind of book. I feel like those are like the things I read fastest. It's just something crazy. Crazy books are things that I read quicker. So that's my thought process with this one. I also have Love in Other Words by Christina Lauren. This book is 403 pages. So this is a little bit on the longer side for this prompt, but this is a second chance romance about, I want to say it's like been 7 years since these people have seen each other, and they were like really close when they were younger, and then something happened and we don't know what happened, but now it's 7 years later and it's a romance. So yeah, I've heard wonderful things about this. It looks very summer vibes, so I could pick this one. But then my last choice is You Made a Fool of Death with Your Beauty by Akwaeke Emezi. And this is a literary fiction, and I want to say it's about a girl whose like boyfriend or husband or something like that passed away, and now she is in the aftermath of that and trying to continue living her life basically. And this cover is just so pretty. Like I love how this book looks. It makes me happy to look at. I like the little hummingbird too. Like this is such a beautiful book. I love beautiful books. So yeah, and this one is 278 pages. So just for the sake of the fact that I have a chunky TBR, I feel like I should pick something that is going to be as quick and easy as possible, especially because I feel like especially after reading Ruin by John Gwynne, I feel like I'll just need a brain break, a refresher into something more, not necessarily lighthearted, but just something that I'll get through a lot faster. And so that makes me want to pick, honestly, anything except for Love in Other Words. I feel like this one is going to be not necessarily dense or anything like that. Like obviously this one is going to be quicker as well, but I just think the fact that it's 400 pages and not completely chaotic makes me think that I'll read it a little bit slower. So that leaves me with these three. And basically, I'm just not really sure if I'm more in the mood for something intellectual or chaotic, or both, perchance. I'm kind of torn, honestly, between Butcher and Blackbird and You Made a Fool of Death with Your Beauty. I feel like I'll feel more in the loop if I read Butcher and Blackbird, especially because I'm pretty sure 2 of my best friends have read this book too and thought it was insane. So, but this one has just been staring at me is the thing. So I don't really know which one. Honestly, I think by the time I get to it, I'll just be more, not necessarily excited for this, but I feel like it'll be an easier thing to pick up after the rest of my reading month. So I'm going to go with Butcher and Blackbird by Bryn Weaver for this prompt. We are going to switch out this prompt for the last one that I have in the mini stack from the first time I filmed this. So Book in Bad Condition is the replacement prompt. And now possibly the last spin of this video, spin number 7. Okay, so the book doesn't want to land on the red space, so that means that that's the one that it landed on. This is actually the last spin, and I have to pick an obscure book. So what I mean when I say an obscure book is kind of just something I don't really hear anybody talking about. And if I do, it's like once in a blue moon. It's not really something that I feel like is considered popular, or if I say the title of the book, that people will immediately know what I'm talking about. And so I feel like for that reason, The Hunted by Charlie Hickson kind of falls into that, because I don't think that this is like a crazy popular series. I mean, I always see it at Barnes & Noble, but if you walk into Walmart, this is not ever something that I see on the shelves there, or that I see when I'm scrolling through TikTok, or just commonly around BookTube. I just don't feel like I ever see this book anywhere. This is the 6th book in the Enemy series. I technically started it at one point, but I'm definitely gonna have to start over with it to kind of give myself a refresher. But I have this one. The other option I have for this is Black Sheep by Watney Lander. This is a poetry collection that my mom just bought for me, and I had never heard of this until she bought it for me, so I would definitely call it obscure for that reason. I feel like this would be a good one to add to the TBR because it is so short and quick to get through, but at the same time, this one is very productive, and it's honestly one that I've been like wanting to get through. Just when I think about this book, I just really want to go and pick it up and like get back into this series. And so I'm just way more drawn to this book, I think, than I am to to this one right now. So yeah, maybe next month for this book. But for now, I'm gonna go with The Hunted by Charlie Hickson. Using the actual real stack of prompts, we are going to switch this last prompt out for, oop, I lost it. For this one, which is adaptation. So a book that has been adapted either to a movie or a TV series, or possibly from one of those things to a book, if I have any of those, something along those lines. So here's my stack of books for my August TBR. This does feel definitely ambitious considering I start school back in August, and I'm just not really sure how much time I'm gonna have on my hands, but at the same time, this is a very exciting stack. I feel like this is definitely full of books that I'm either very excited for or feel good about having on the TBR for productive purposes. And so I'm definitely very excited to start reading these and go ahead and jump into the TBR. Also, aside from these books, the only other one on here is Hunting Adeline, but that's only if I don't finish Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil by August 1st. So that's it for this August TBR. I hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you so much for watching. Please hit the like button and subscribe if you would like to, and hit the notification bell if you would like to see the other videos that I post on Mondays and Thursdays, with reading sprints on every first and third Monday of the month, replacing that Monday video. Starting in August, I will be posting only on Thursdays, with reading sprints on every first and third Monday of the month as well. My Bookstagram, my Goodreads, and my book talk will all be linked in the description of this video, as well as some of my most recent videos. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!